Boom, 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 boom. Get your newspapers ready. Say it with me now. Say it with me, please. I'm going to get my Dofi glasses. Just wait 1 second. Here we go. Here we go. You ready? The Yonko! This chapter was great. World building up the wazoo. We got Luffy in the cover of Shonen Jump, as well as Vivi with Kaido and King Cobra. Vivi and Luffy obviously showing their Alabasta reference, the X mark. Alabasta represent. And we get the beginning of the Olympus cover story with the Yonta Maria there. Overall, I think it should have 56 ships. The Yonta Maria, obviously the 4, you can pronounce it as Yon, like Yonko, but it's Yonta Maria. And then you have like different vessels in the background there, but they don't have 4s. They have like 3 and 2s and stuff. So that's Olympus. Olympus obviously being a reference to Christopher Columbus, and then the Yonta Maria name being a reference to the Santa Maria, which was the largest ship that Christopher Columbus used when he came over to America. He used the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, but the Santa Maria was the biggest. I thought the beginning of this chapter was straight up hilarious. I'm not kidding. Like, the beginning was... it's probably going to be the most hilarious start of a One Piece chapter this year. The Sanji fanboys can sleep well tonight. Because let's get one thing straight. Oda trolled you guys. He trolled you all the way through Whole Cake Island. You know, promising a feat that never came. The year of Sanji was not to be. At least not the way that a lot of fans wanted it to be. And yet, in 903, Oda says... I got you. I got you. He has heard your cries, and he's got your back. Because not only does Sanji get a raid suit, okay, which by the way foreshadows a power-up and a feat, a tremendous feat in Wano, but he gets a bounty increase that surpasses Roronoa. Just when you thought that the ongoing Zoro versus Sanji fan debates were coming to a close, we're coming to a hiatus, or at least sort of getting close to reaching neutral ground. Oda says, screw that, and he hits us with the 330 mil bounty for Sanji up against Zoro's 320. Roronoa Zoro, where are you? Where are you, my boy? You really need to come in and check this out, because the Sanji fans are sleeping good tonight. And apparently Sanji's wanted poster has gone back to stating that he's wanted either dead or alive, instead of only alive. And he's called Vinsmoke Sanji officially on the wanted poster, and he still has like some feelings of resentment towards his family, so he really doesn't like that name Vinsmoke being publicly displayed, and it's the same reason why he refuses to use the raid suit. Now, apparently Niji snuck in the raid suit while he was saving them back in Cacao Island, and I do remember that he was kind of making fun of Sanji's speed, so maybe the raid suit is something that'll make Sanji like super fast or give him a boost in terms of speed feats. Now if you remember, the Vinsmoke kids were pretty much color-coded ever since they were young, and the corresponding color for Sanji was yellow, so that raid suit has to be yellow. Also, with the exception of Yonji, each of the Vinsmokes has like either a substance or some type of elemental power assigned to them. So given the fact that Sanji already uses fire, maybe that suit will help him boost his fire using capabilities when he's in combat. And apparently the suit is so high tech that it only responds to Sanji being the one to activate it. Because Luffy was trying to use it and he couldn't, like it wouldn't respond to him. So it only responds to Sanji. I really like this new discovery, this new addition, because, you know, last week we were talking about, wait, what was the whole point of like going back to save the Vinsmokes and the whole section of Cacao Island and all that stuff, but now it's like, well, he got a raid suit out of it. At the very least, he got a raid suit out of it. Sanji gets the raid suit, and we get the revelation of Zeus, so Nami and Sanji kind of get like a power-up, or at least something that they could use in the future in the same chapter. At least it's, you know, sort of like confirmed in the same chapter. And the thing is, like, Zeus is kind of competing with Sanji in terms of like who's Nami's biggest slave, or who's more subservient to her. I thought that was kind of funny. I love Brook's line where he tells him, Sanji-san, you do know that you're essentially competing with water vapor for Nami's affection, right? Anyway, speaking of Nami and Sanji, they got something new in their arsenal. I guess the only people who are left are Chopper and Brook. Like, what are Chopper and Brook's power-ups going to be? This chapter should have been called Fake News. because there's this one part where Luffy's like super depressed over the fact that he thinks that his bounty went down to 150 mil. And he conveniently holds the panel. Oda drew this panel very, very conveniently where you can see the 150 and the zeros are cut off from the rest of the panel. He kind of like leaves that for the end. But yeah, it should have been called fake news. I'm surprised that Capone, like we didn't hear anything about Capone getting an increase, because you know how Law, who was a supernova that was affiliated with the Straw Hats back in Dressrosa, he also got an increase after what happened with Dofi, so I was surprised that we didn't hear anything about a bounty increase for Capone. Then we go to Fishman Island with King Neptune and the Boshi brothers and Shirahoshi, and they're barely getting ready to leave, which I guess isn't that big of a problem because Fishman Island is essentially, it's very close to Mariejois. You just have to go up, so it's a very short journey to Mariejois. But I did find it interesting how like the kids, the Fishman Island kids, are all wearing straw hats. You know, because they became Luffy fanboys after what happened. So they should be going to Mariejois. There's like a marine ship there ready to escort the royal family. Bom, 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 bom. The news starts spreading. Everybody's checking Twitter for those updates. And then we see none other than Croco Boy. I don't know what he's doing there. Croco Boy, listen to me. Get your reptilian butt off to Wano. He was just sitting around there casually reading a newspaper. I want him in Wano. Stop reading the newspaper. Go to Wano. The Allied forces need your help, Croco Boy. Just like you helped them back in Marineford, you gotta pull through. So the news starts spreading out like wildfire, and we get a pretty cool middle panel there with Dr. Kureha and Dalton, who are also on their way to the Reverie. They represent the Sakura Kingdom, Drum Island, which is where Chopper was from, obviously. Bartolomeo and Cavendish are on opposite ends, and I think it's kind of cool because they're silhouettes, so they kind of complement each other because they're both on opposite sides, and they're obviously talking to the press, hyping Luffy up like crazy. I like how in the panel where we see Vivi and Karu, we also see Pell in the corner there, just standing there being a total troll, like, I'm here. In case you forgot, I survived the nuke. We then make a small detour to McDonald's, I'm loving it, aka Marineford, aka Marine HQ, where we see Sakazuki very briefly, and he finds out that a princess from the kingdom of Elusia was kidnapped by some pirates, and he gets pissed, because that's what Akainu does. Now, to be quite honest, this entire situation with the kidnapping of the princess called Komane was actually just there as setup in the chapter, because not only does this chapter do a fine job of hyping Sanji up, it also hypes up Luffy, and it hypes up a third person called Captain Kobe. I mean, Oda just had this guy come out of nowhere, just straight up casually busting up torpedoes with little to no effort. Not only that, but he was swimming, like he was in the depths. That is some crazy level of observation hockey right there. Like Helmeppo's like, yo, what is up with your collar of observation? I didn't sense anything. How could you sense that torpedo and bust it up? It's so funny because even when the Straw Hats are not around, Rebecca still needs saving. This is a very good feat for Kobe, because I'm guessing that what happened, based off of the dialogue, Kobe says when he gets aboard the ship, after he saves the people from Dressrosa, like he's asked, how did you get here? And he's like, well, a ship, of course, although it's kind of far away from where we are now. So the ship actually takes time to catch up to where Kobe is. So I'm guessing that what happened was he was aboard the ship, and I guess his observation hockey range was so good that he could sense the torpedo being fired. He went in there, he went into the depths with his observation hockey, all right, and busted that thing open, and he swam so far that Helmeppo still has to catch up to where he is now. And he doesn't even take credit for busting the torpedo, because King Riku says like, oh, well, thank goodness that torpedo missed. And he's like, yeah, thank goodness. You know, he never even like gloats about it. And just like Luffy, Kobe seems to have that same type of like observation ability where he can scale people just by getting close to them. Because he meets Kidos and automatically he's like, well, this guy is strong, right? Just like Luffy is able to scale people that he thinks are strong. It's the same thing with Kobe. Now, I do not know if Rebecca is using her observation hockey. We know that she can use observation hockey because Kidos kind of trained her to do that, but she can suspect that Kobe is in fact a fan of Luffy. So they're going to be talking about that, and at the very minimum, Kobe just kind of made a new friend in Rebecca because they're both friends with Luffy. I'm not sure how old Kobe is. I know Rebecca's supposed to be 16, so I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. They could like get together
in the future. Just throwing it out there. Whatever. Those are kind of like the vibes that I got, but whatever. Maybe I'm crazy. Let me know what you think. However, the thing that really caught my attention from this entire thing was Kidos mentions that Kobe is kind of famous. He says that Kobe is the hero that protected all of the citizens during the Rocky Port incident. Now, I've only heard of that Rocky Port incident once before, and it came out of this guy. This guy is called Brand New, and he's in charge of assigning bounties to people. Okay, and when he was talking about the Shichibukai, specifically when he was talking about Law, he said that Law was behind the incident at the Rocky Port, or he was behind the Rocky Port incident. So I don't know what that means, and I hope we find that out because that incident probably took place during the 2-year time skip. Anyway, then Kobe says that they're headed towards Marineford, and I don't know if that's the case for all of the royal families, that they basically have to stop at Marineford and then be escorted by the Marines to Mariejois. I'm assuming it's not going to be the case for all of the royal families, because you could have families that are like on the other side of the red line. So yeah, I don't think that they should all be required to meet at Marineford before going to Mariejois, but we'll see what happens. Also, I forgot to say this. When Kobe is reading the newspaper, if you look at the back, there's clearly a picture of Edward Weevil, and you could read the heading. It says danger. So Weevil is coming at you. He's getting into trouble. He's doing something. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a warning, you know. I mean, he's messing towns up. We know that. But it's just kind of interesting that he made the news.
Then we get to my favorite page of the entire chapter. And it's my favorite because we get an individual panel for each of the current Yonko. And we start off with Kaido. And I love it because he's reading the news. And it's so funny because, like, apparently, like, him and Big Mom have, like, nicknames. Maybe all of the Yonko have, like, nicknames for each other. Big Mom calls Kaido that thing. And Kaido calls Big Mom the old hag. Why was this kid in the old hag's territory? What was he doing messing with that grandma that I don't even want to mess with? And then Big Mom just can't believe it. She's like, wait, hold on a minute here. When exactly did I lose? Where's this stupid bird? Get me this stupid bird on the Dendenmushi. Victory? Are you serious? How did the Straw Hat ever win anything from me? Like, what is going on?
A Yonko? No, it's still too soon for you, Mugiwara.
It was so sinister. I love that panel with Van Ogre and Shiryu in the background. Easy with that post-time skip design reveal, Oda. He's definitely keeping it under wraps. He doesn't want us to look at Teach until it's time to see him full body design. So he's keeping that secret, but it was just such a sinister panel, and I loved it. And he's basically calling out the fake news. Both Big Mom and Teach are calling it fake news. Now here's the thing. Aside from seeing Blackbeard's crew in the background, if you take a look at the island, it's filled with palm trees. And I may be reading a little bit too much into this, but I remember that at one point before the time skip, there was this random scene. It was kind of funny where like Mihawk goes to visit Shanks, and it says like an island somewhere in the New World. And that island also had a lot of palm trees. So I don't know, it just gave me a really bad feeling. It made me feel like Teach was kind of like slowly taking over Shanks' turf. Because that's what Yonkos do. They take over territories. Speaking of which, I think this incident goes very well with the title because this is the first time where Luffy kind of gains a territory that has his protection over it, which is Fishman Island. So, you know, I don't think Luffy is Yonko level. I think he's like, you know, sort of Yonko commander level now, if anything. But then we get this bounty. Oh, by the way, we see Shanks, FYI. just if you hadn't had enough, like as if this chapter wasn't enough already, let's throw in Shanks with some foreshadowing. And he says that it's getting closer to that meeting time. Him and Luffy will meet very soon. It's kind of funny because I'm inside and all the windows are closed. But when I read that panel of Shanks saying that, I kid you not, I felt a breeze hit me in the face. The tides and the winds are changing. and Shanks' time is coming up. It was just such a great chapter. The chapter ends with us finding out that Luffy's bounty is 1.5 billion, not 150 mil. Such an illiterate main character. Anyway, he's higher than Jack. He's higher than Katakuri. So he's now surpassed those bounties. And yeah, off to Wano. Well, off to the Reverie, then off to Wano. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did, I really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already for more One Piece content. Comment down below. What did you think about this amazing, amazing world-building chapter of One Piece? Now, I don't want to speculate too much coming off of this chapter, because that's not what YouTube is about. But if you want my humble estimate, okay, and this is my humble estimate, again, I'm being very, very humble with this prediction, okay? I think, in my factual opinion, that once we leave Wano, Zoro's bounty will be 11 trillion.